Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has reiterated his appeal for peace in war-torn Ukraine. The Holy Father made his latest plea at his weekly general audience at the Paul VI Audience Hall at the Vatican on Wednesday. He urged people to pray to Mary, the Mother of God, to comfort all those tested by the savagery of war, and in particular for those in Ukraine. Meanwhile, in Ukraine itself, life continues to be difficult for those living near to the front line. This week, the auxiliary bishop of Kharkiv, Zaporizhzhia, told foreign journalists that he could see up to 1,500 people lining up each day outside his apartment building, waiting for a piece of bread handed out by local friars. Speaking via a video link, Bishop Jan Sobio said thousands of people are without electricity, and even the pumps that are used to pump water are not working. It's getting more and more tragic, he added. However, he also said that he was not afraid and was looking forward with hope to Christmas. According to a new report by the Reuters news agency, the Nigerian Army has been operating a covert, organised and illegal abortion programme in the nation's northeast since 2013. In total, claims Reuters, at least 10,000 unborn babies have been killed in the area closely associated with the Islamist terror group Boko Haram. Reuters suggests that the abortion campaign is aimed at destroying future insurgent fighters before they can be born. In response, the Nigerian military denies the abortion programme has ever existed and say Reuters report as part of a foreign effort to undermine the country's fight against the insurgents. The majority of Americans are in favour of protecting the right of medical professionals to conscientiously object to participating in abortion. That's according to a new Religious Freedom Index published on Tuesday by the Washington DC-based Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty. Based upon responses gathered from over 1,000 persons across the US between September the 28th and October the 5th, the fourth annual poll of its kind asked if people believe that hospital and healthcare systems run by religious organisations should be allowed to refuse to perform elective abortions. 62% answered in the affirmative. Pope Francis met with 6 members of his Council of Cardinals on December the 5th and 6th for their periodical consultations. The Vatican said that the group of papal advisors discussed the continental phase of the Synod on Synodality and the work of the most recent United Nations Climate Change Summit in Egypt. At the meeting, Cardinal Sean O'Malley of Boston also reported on the work of the Pontifical Commission for the Protection of Minors. Also taking part in the meeting were Honduran Cardinal Oscar Rodriguez Maradiaga, Germany's Cardinal Reinhard Marx, India's Cardinal Oswald Gracias, and Congolese Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo Basunga. They were joined by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican's Secretary of State, Cardinal Giuseppe Bertello, the former president of the Governorate of the Vatican City-State, and Bishop Marco Melino, who is the Secretary to the Council of Cardinals. Recent executions of university students by the military government in Myanmar have reignited calls for the international community to exert pressure on the country's junta to abolish the death penalty. 10 inmates were sentenced to death last week, including 7 university students from Yangon who purportedly took part in demonstrations and resistance against the junta. According to the United Nations, the latest move by the junta brought the number of those on death row in the country to 139 since the military coup in Myanmar in February of last year. Now, the UN Human Rights Chief, Volker Turk, is calling for the suspension of all executions and the return to a moratorium on the death penalty. Catholics in Australia have been shocked after sacred statues were found vandalised in 2 separate attacks upon 2 churches in the city of Albury in New South Wales. Statues of the Blessed Virgin Mary and St Francis of Assisi were found decapitated, while a statue of Jesus Christ was defaced. Both St Patrick's Church and St Matthew's Church, which neighbour each other, were reportedly attacked. The parish priest of St Patrick's says the vandalism is an attempt to intimidate the church, to which they will not bow down. The US Postal Service has unveiled a new limited edition stamp featuring the Christ Child and the Blessed Virgin Mary, all in time for Christmas. The image of the Virgin and Child used is from an oil-on-panel painting from the first half of the 16th century by an unidentified Florentine artist known as the Master of Scandice Lamentation. The work is part of the Robert Dawson Evans collection at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. US senators are calling upon President Joe Biden to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern to the US when it comes to religious liberty. The call comes from Senators Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley, who are both Republicans. They allege that the decision of the White House to remove Nigeria from the list of countries of particular concern for the second year running defies common sense. The US Commission on International Religious Freedom has also expressed disappointment at the continued omission of Nigeria from the list. Pro-life organisations in the United Kingdom have lamented the UK Supreme Court's decision to uphold a law passed by Northern Ireland's Assembly that bans pro-life vigils near abortion facilities. The unanimous judgment was made by the Supreme Court on Wednesday. The judges said that the law does not breach the European Convention on Human Rights. In response, Liam Gibson, who is the Policy and Legal Officer for the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children, said the Supreme Court had set a precedent that has the potential to endanger everyone's right to freedom of speech and the right to engage in peaceful protest. The church in Mexico has announced that they will hold a worldwide novena for 9 years to celebrate the 500th anniversary of the apparition of Our Lady of Guadalupe in 2031. The novena will officially begin this month upon December the 12th during the traditional Mass of the Roses in the National Basilica of Santa Maria de Guadalupe. According to Cardinal Carlos Aguirretes, the primate of Mexico and custodian of the sacred image of the Virgin of Guadalupe, the worldwide novena is a path of preparation and a celebration of the anniversary of the apparition of the Holy Virgin to St. Juan Diego on Tepeyac Hill in 1531. Meanwhile, the bishops of Italy have announced that a prayer vigil will be organised at the tomb of St. Nicholas of Bari, aka Santa Claus, on December the 21st. The purpose of the vigil, they say, is that those who decide the fate of nations know how to prioritise love over hate, the public good over personal interests, and dialogue over the use of arms. The Italian Episcopal Conference and the Archdiocese of Bari Betonto will coordinate the event. The Archbishop of Bologna, Cardinal Matteo Maria Zuppi, who is also the president of the episcopate, will preside over the vigil at the Basilica of St. Nicholas. Finally, Bells of Hope, a Catholic church in the northern Iraqi city of Mosul that was destroyed by ISIS militants in 2017, has been rebuilt and is now awaiting 3 new bells in time for Christmas. The bells are named Gabriel, Michael and Raphael in honour of the 3 archangels. They were cast in France and they will soon ring in Mosul streets from the top of the conventual church of Our Lady of the Hour. The restoration represents a new stage in the Revive the Spirit of Mosul initiative, which has been run by the United Nations agency UNESCO in collaboration with the United Arab Emirates and the Dominican Fathers. Well, that's your latest news headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.